Hey, what's up YouTube, Scabadger here, and we are back on day 16 of our little 2v2 with Lord Cack. So, Germany versus United Kingdom. I'm no war expert, and I don't claim to be a historian, but this is playing, well so far, has played out pretty similar to how I remember the Battle of Britain going. Over the last few days, we have had a lot of combat in the air, and it got to the point where we were literally pulling back our air forces just to recuperate, because we were just taking one hit for one hit. But since then, I've started to use strategic bombers to bomb out his cities, and I managed to, in a raid, capture this city here. I'm just waiting for him to capture it back so I can continue bombarding it. But he won't come in range because my ships are acting as sufficient artillery to kill anything that gets close. So that's all that's really been happening. In the game so far, we have swapped the mightiest army 1 or 2 times, or actually 3 times, so it's a little hard to say where we're at. He has a pretty large army, so successfully invading is a bit of a challenge for me, considering I don't have that much troops. So we're just going to have to continue this sort of gameplay in this sort of tactic for a while. While we're here though, it appears as though he's just finished building an artillery piece down there, and that is an easy target, so that's going to die. Could probably afford to send, I'll send them all, just in case. So at the moment what I'm doing is I'm trying to lower the morale of these provinces here, and I'm going for a tactic that I've never tried before. So if you guys have tried this tactic before and it is a horrible tactic, let me know, because I'm still trying it out. I'm trying to destroy his buildings and his economy through morale, and destroying these cities up around here. So by doing that, I want to destroy his ability to produce goods, and thus he'll be able, or unable to, fight us effectively. By destroying these 2 cities alone, it should take off nearly half of his goods production, and if his production is anything like ours, losing half of it would be a massive blow. To make up for the fact that I've captured this up here though, he has built a infrastructure and industrial center down here, and he'll be using that to make up for the lack of production and also to increase oil production. So that's what he's doing about that. He's got this unit here which is a little too far out of range. Although we can't see what it is at the moment, it is 3 anti-air and 2 artillery. And purely because I don't want to take casualties, I'm not going to send any air in there to deal with it. Once I have sufficient upgrades on my navy, I will be able to just bombard it once I get to, is it? No, it must be level 4. Level 4. Yeah, 70 kilometer attack range. Will be just in range if I move to this point where the sub is up here. So as you can see, I have blockaded him again with my submarines, and that's stopping him from effectively counterattacking. I know he has a navy down here, made up of some ships, but I don't know what it is. But because he's only producing from 1 naval base down here, and that's only a level 1, it can't be anything, well, I hope it's not anything too dangerous. Now on our side of the English Channel, we are having a little bit of problem with oil. While we do have a lot of aircraft and ships, we're starting to max out our ability to produce oil. While there is still some things we can do, I'm starting to run out of options when it comes to upgrading. Here, I can only build and upgrade my infrastructure once more, and then up here, I can only, once this upgrade is done, upgrade my infrastructure twice more. So I should be able to get this up to just under 7,000, and this one here, wrong city, I want Manchester, should be able to get this up to just over 6,000. And I could lift the morale on this by building 1 fortification to get just that little bit higher, but I suspect we're going to end up with a maximum production of around 12,000 to 13,000 oil a day. And that is a good production, but we're starting to get to the point now where we're maxing it out. And of course, when we max out our production, we don't want to produce much more aircraft and ships, because we always want to have a reserve of oil. So even when we do get close, I'm not going to completely max out production with units. In terms of where our air force is at the moment, it is nearly complete. We took a lot of casualties fighting against Lord Cack, and we got down to the point where we only had about 7 interceptors and 10 tactical bombers and no strategic bombers. So I've built that back up, and I'm building one more tactical bomber, and then I'm going to carry on building strategic bombers until we get up to having 10 of them. Now, these things, they take up a lot of oil, as you can see, so I'm not going to build the full 15, I'm just going to stick to 10. They take roughly 100 oil a day, so they're pretty expensive. At a stretch, I guess I could probably go a little bit further and build 15, but I'll see how my economy copes, because I still need to build 3 aircraft carriers, and at the moment I just don't have the oil to do it. So at the moment I'm making 5,000 oil a day, and while that is pretty good, that is actually pretty good, I need more, and you always need more. So I'm just going to carry on with what we're doing. If we're lucky, there's still some oil on the market from early game, and we could easily snap some of that up, but then the problem is then we don't have the money to buy the ships, and yeah, it's just an endless cycle like that. But luckily at the moment we're getting to the point where we're starting to have more money than we can spend, so we'll just see how that goes. Over the last few days as well last couple of hours rather, I've also been building a lot of anti-air. As both of our air forces get a lot stronger and a lot more efficient, I don't want our troops on the ground to become targeted, so I'm just making sure that everything is well defended and that there is nothing left open. And this includes runways and cities, because I don't want him to start doing what I'm doing and start bombing my cities. Now, the reason I suspect why he hasn't stationed troops in this city and in this city here is because of my navy. Every time he sends troops in, I just bomb them and he takes casualties. So I don't know why he hasn't tried to take this back yet. It would be worth it considering I don't have any troops on the ground. But I suspect it might be because he can't actively defend it. So it'll just be interesting to see how this continues. Now with a little bit of luck and after a bit more bombardment, this province here should rebel to us. And that will be good, I guess. Although at the same time it just means that's a little bit harder to defend. We can't properly defend all this land up here if we were to capture it. So what I have been thinking of is when I do get my army up to a sufficient strength, I could easily capture Brest and use this as a landing point. The reason I wouldn't go up here is because my ships don't have full range. Where if I landed here, I could easily sit my ships down here and bombard troops, keep all of his artillery out of range while I build up here, and then I could just march down. And I could easily get to here, and then from that point I'm free to go which way I want. I have 3 directions to choose from. While if I went up here, my ships cannot defend from artillery, because artillery can outrange them at certain points. So I'm going to try avoid landing up here unless I have to. What I have to remember though is he has a much bigger ground force than I do and a lot more advanced. So although you guys can't see it at the moment, I did a lot of scouting last night, and all these fortified positions up around here have at least 5 units in them. Some of them have as many as 10, made up of light tanks, anti-air, and just infantry. So although that's not too hard to counter, all you need is infantry, some anti-tank or tank destroyers, and you're good. But it's still a pretty good resistance considering how much he outnumbers me on the ground. If we just have a simple look at our ground force numbers, see how big our army is, nearly there. I think I have one more infantry to select, or no? I have a bit more than I realized. So we have roughly, so that's 21, 27, 37 ground troops. He has at least 70, I reckon. So he outnumbers us 2 to 1. But we do have the air advantage and the naval advantage at the moment. So yeah, going forwards, I'm going to continue bombing, and hopefully this province will rebel, and then you'll have more problem up here, and hopefully these guys up here will fly in and kill that artillery piece, and then we're good to go. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.